How are we sounding?
We're sounding fantastic.
We're sounding mint.
Yeah, we're sounding mint.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're sounding mint.
Levels.
Yeah, we're sounding mint, but I'm not going to talk this loud. I'll probably talk like this loud. You know what I'm saying?
Turn up.
Yeah, this is Breaking Boundaries podcast, and we're doing it.
We're doing it. We're starting a podcast.
Yeah.
So I am Matt. I am a videographer, photographer.
What's your last name, Matt?
My name is Matt Collamer.
Super calm. Never gotten that one before.
Yeah. But I mean, I just met Rafael a couple weeks ago actually at a photography meetup that myself and a fellow photographer, Mark, hosted for H Collective, otherwise known as The Hub, which helps connect people through this platform, through this website, to connect photographers and models and videographers. It's a really dope platform, but that's how we met, and we instantly connected with photography and trying to pursue it as a business, and that's why we decided to start the podcast. And how you feeling about it, Rafael?
I'm feeling good. Podcast is something I've wanted to do for a while. I think you feel the same. We've both been told that we should by multiple different people, and I think it was just kind of fate. You know, universe brought us together, and we were ready to create something new. Photographer, myself, and videographer. Most people know you host a bunch of different jobs. You do a bunch of different things. You're not just a wedding videographer. You're not just a editorial. If you're lucky, you do 5 things.
Yeah.
But especially starting out, you're doing like 100 things at
Right.
one time, and you're kind of just picking up wherever you can. I think it's important to spread that message to young creatives who are trying to get into the game, that you really should take up every opportunity you can to put yourself out there, to spread yourself, and this was a way that I felt would be good to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Not just another way.
I agree. I mean, honestly, for me, it's been a couple of years since I got really serious about doing video, about doing photography, and over the last year or so is when I really decided I'm going to do it full time. I'm just going for it, and It's been a crazy ride. And I will say, I just did, especially like a year ago when I was first. I just got back in last June, from being abroad. I was teaching English in Korea, and then I was also, doing some traveling after that, and doing video, doing photography, really pursuing it. And I had a great time. I learned so much about myself, about the world. I was gone from the U.S. I'm originally from Boston. I was gone from the U.S. for about a year and a half. And it was amazing being able to do that, travel, and pursue video and photography while doing that. And then I got back, like I said, last June, and then kind of really decided I'm just going to go for it. I started applying for full-time jobs in video, and then nothing was really catching my eye, and I just wasn't feeling it because I just didn't want to. For example, there's some jobs for like editing, be an editor for a company and just sit there all day and edit video. Don't get me wrong, I like editing video, but that's not what I want to do. So I decided I'm going to go on my own and just kind of go for it. And as Rafael said, I just started doing like anything that I could get, just anything. Like I got some video gig with some startup company, and like I didn't really have the right equipment yet, and I was definitely not that confident, but I just decided to do it anyway. And the result was not amazing, and there was some issues with communication.
Yeah.
But I just, that's one thing, and I just started kind of picking up other gigs here and there, like different photography gigs. I do nightlife photography. I've done weddings. I've done like portraits of little kids. Their parents like want like nice photos of their kids, so you go with their parents and like at a park and you do photos like that. It's actually very challenging. And then
I think it's important to know what you want. Like you said, you could have taken, and many will take that job, and there's no pre-med, MCAT, med school, and then working with a doctor, and then working in a hospital. There's no one route. Nothing's for certain. And so whether you're editing for a big company for years, and then you do your own thing and you learn a lot from that, or whether you're like, I just don't want to do that,
Right.
There's no saying like, oh, this way's right or this way's wrong or that's not the way to go about it. But it is good that you knew like what you had that conversation with yourself and you're like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
This is what I want to do, and that's not what I want to do, and this is what I want to do. I think it's a conversation a lot of people don't really have. They're just kind of walking through life.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Just like they never really, maybe they ask themselves that question, but they don't ask themselves that question seriously, you know?
Right. Or they don't trust themselves enough to, give a straight answer about it.
Right.
And I think that was, at least for me, is that, and I've always, not always, but in the last few years, especially after graduating college, I graduated college in 2015. And after doing that, I just really wanted to challenge myself. I was lucky enough to study abroad in Australia when I was in college. And that kind of set me on the path of traveling. And then also just, that's when I discovered video and doing that thing. But yeah, I mean, for a while, even in college, and many kids in our generation, I think, feel this when they're just like, you know what? I don't want to live some life that somebody else is telling me that I have to live. You know what I mean? I want to do something that really fulfills me and that challenges me and makes me grow. And that's kind of where I've been at. And I tend to gravitate towards people that are also like on a similar path with that.
I think it's a lot of our generation.
Yeah.
It's definitely maybe thoughts that people had, or people have always had. I mean, there's always been artists ever since a man, but like,
Right.
I think more people are asking themselves that and kind of pursuing that. I don't want to do this. Well, I want to do my own thing. Well, I want to start my own thing. Well,
Yep.
So what that my mom and dad are both this, I'm going to do this completely different. That's a very now thing for us, to just kind of like spread and be like, I want to go to festivals all year round. So how am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, I'm going to work for this refrigerator company, and that way they give me enough time off so I can make it to my festivals all year round.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Cool.
as you said before, there's really no right way.
Right.
You know what I mean? There really isn't. You can't, I think people that like quit their jobs and do their passion type thing, like that's cool in some sense, but it depends what you're talking about, because that can be like glamorized and, you know what I mean, and make it seem like a sexy thing to do. But
Yeah.
it's really, it comes down to, what you really want for yourself. And if you're like, and that can be the path for some people, and some people that's not. Some people, they have a stable job where they're making certain income, and that's what is helping them then do other things that they like to do.
Yeah.
I read a book recently. I've been reading this book. It's called Own the Day, Own Your Life by Aubrey Marcus.
Ooh.
And it's a really good book. And he said
Check it out.
he thinks that there's two kinds of people that, they have to do work or their career that's fulfilling to them. Right? Or that kind of something they like, what they do every day needs to be something like super fulfilling. And then there's other people that maybe they have that, but they work a job that then, they can get this money or make this money to then do those things that they want to do. And that's, there's different ways of it. For me, I feel like I fall in the camp of the first category, where I'm like, you know what? I just really want to do what my career is, because it takes up so much of my time.
Yeah.
And time to me is the most valuable thing that we have.
Yeah.
I want to do something that I'm really passionate about and that I care about. But again, it depends on the person. There's no right or wrong way. And that's even been something that I've gone through too, because I just felt kind of, stubborn about like, people doing some shit that they don't like, or doing a job that they don't like that's whack. Like, why would you do that? But that was kind of me being a little bit younger, naive, not really understanding, like, especially for people that are in a position where they have families or they have children or something like that, or they have, people around them that are you're going down a more traditional path, right? And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily.
Or you're just on the grind right now.
Yeah.
So that like a year from now, you can get that van, turn it into this, and start your print company that you've wanted to always start. You just needed that $90K salary real quick to fund that, and you didn't spend a penny or whatever. I mean, my mom worked like 2 jobs right after pharmaceutical school, and just worked like 80, 90 hours a week for a whole year and didn't spend a money on partying, didn't spend money on clothes, didn't spend money on anything except for rent, and just like went to Europe for like 5 months.
Yeah.
And just spent it all, and like nice hotels and everything. Just was like spent it all. Like, but she purposely did that. She had that goal in mind. She's like, that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah. It's like that's you know, that's a thing that, you know, and that's cool too.
Right.
You know. Tell us a little bit about what we're doing here.
So
like, what is Breaking Boundaries? What is this podcast?
Yeah, so essentially that's kind of what I started a few years ago before I went to Korea to teach English, and when I started doing video, I did a little bit of vlogging, things like that. Not vlogging, sorry, blogging.
Yeah.
And did a little bit of blogging, things like that. And basically the whole name Break Your Boundaries I came up with that as a way to do things. It started with the travel mindset, to do things that you're scared to do, to then have a growth, or, you know, have self-growth or a benefit for yourself in the world. And that's kind of how I came up with that. And then from there, it's just developed a little bit into, you know, just sharing photos on Instagram, for example, and like putting captions in about like self-growth and what you can really do with it. And it really comes down to the faith in yourself and your abilities and what you really see as possible. And I think that's what it is. But you have to break out get out of those boundaries that are created by either yourself. A lot of times they're created by ourselves. You know what I mean? Our thoughts can be limiting, where we think, oh yeah, I can't do that. You know, you see somebody online or something just like killing it, or the perception you have is that they're killing it. But you really have to kind of get out of your own, you know, break out of those limiting beliefs, and then kind of really get out there and just do things that you're scared to do. If you're doing things, if you're doing things that you're scared to do, then you're really gonna benefit from that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole concept of it. So, you know, as I connected with Rafael recently at the photo meetup, as I said, and, you know, I think we had
time not looking at the camera.
Yeah.
What's up? Okay, whatever. That's done. Here, we get it in. Okay, we're done with that.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
So no, and then you know, we kind of talked a little bit. We had a similar vision for what we want to do, in, you know, visual media, and just kind of, and we both kind of. I saw on his Instagram, he's doing like really creative portraits and really good stuff like that.
Thank you.
And also like the captions that he was sharing, like the words to me matter a lot, because it's showing, or it's telling a lot about the person. And I felt that he had a similar kind of message and vision with, you know, just kind of getting your mind right. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like everything is a mental game. And if you can get your mental game on point, then truly you can do whatever the hell you want to do. I believe that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. And for you, you know, what is your, you know, why do you want to do this podcast, and what is your story behind all that?
Yeah. Thanks. Like basically, I spent most of my life walking through aimlessly, being the funny guy in class, kind of doing whatever, creating, you know, but just adventuring, exploring. I've always kind of been a big risk taker. Very young, very, very young. I'm talking like 5, 6, just doing big things and trying to like take big risks, and not always in a great way. I mean, stuff with the law and stuff kind of continued on from me doing that, and just kind of like walking through life, but trying to have experiences. Some of those, you know, experiences went along, you know, drug usage and drinking and all this partying and stuff like that, and trying to take big risks as far as how I can handle working a job and getting all my classwork done and doing all this stuff, but still partying and still creating artwork, and how many shoots can I do in one weekend, and always just pushing myself, a very like big tester of my body, of my mind. It wasn't until like, I want to say, after I graduated last spring, that I really started to think about like what my mind needed and how to approach this game of trying to be a living, working creative in a more tactical way. At first, it meant travel, which I did do a lot of in college and had a lot of experiences traveling around the U.S. Every summer, I left for somewhere different. Sometimes it was out of the country, but yeah, just trying to see as much and do as much. I think I grew up with parents who didn't take a lot of risks, and so that kind of helped me to be like, well, how long do you have to live? You know, let's go. I was super hooked on that show, The Buried Life, when I was like in middle school or something.
Good show, yeah.
That was cool, you know, just trying things out and just trying to like live life, and why not just try this and take a risk, whatever, and see what happens. Regardless, you'll grow from it, you know, and you'll walk away with an experience, or you won't walk away sometimes, and that's the scary thing. But that's life as well, and it wasn't going to stop me from taking certain risks. I went to some places to see if my mind could get better, and worked some jobs to see if my mind could get better that way, and it didn't seem to be happening because I was still partying. And I didn't really know that all that was kind of an issue until it was just staring me in the face, and I was kind of at a standstill for a couple of months in a deep winter in the Midwest this past winter. And that's when I was like, I'm done. Like, I gotta figure, like, the world doesn't have time for, I mean, it certainly may appear that way when it comes to, like, you know, rappers and movie stars and stuff. It might appear that way. And I definitely think there are a few that can get away with it but only for how long, you know?
Right. Exactly.
You know, I think, you know, you're in a bad place when you start to talk about, you know, well, Hunter S. Thompson did it, you know, like, well, Jackson Pollock did it, you know, like, these people are, and did they do it, or how long did that last, or were they happy, you know, these different things, these questions. And also there's, you know, billions of people that have lived for all of humanity, and also 7 billion people in this world. If one person does it, does that mean you can party all day and still get all this work done? You know,
right.
I have always thought I was something different and something special, and something unique. But I was like, this isn't working, you know, this is just not working. How do I get happy, healthy? And that was fucking tough. I had to move out to California and really just clean my system out and just really ask myself a lot of questions, start really picking up running again, which is something that I've always done most of my life. Really start spending a lot of time breathing, thinking on the beach, and just like looking at the water and just sitting in my head for a while, sober.
Yep.
And that was like a big thing for me. And that was for me kind of breaking this boundary that I'd kind of clinged on to from a young age, of just like this kind of addictive personality in myself that really wanted to do things to an excess, such as photography, which I picked up and was like, I'm going to do this 24/7. I'm never going to stop. I can't stop doing this. Everything in my life is somehow going to be related to that. And that addiction hasn't stopped. And that's why I've kind of refined who I am and what I am, and asked myself these questions to break through. And when I came out to Boston almost 3 months ago now, I just hit the ground running. And it seems like it's been so much since I got here. But one of the things was just like, you know, it's so great to talk.
Yeah.
It's so great to talk. It's another thing to do, you know?
Right.
And I think we love to spend a lot of time sitting around and saying, I will, you know, oh, I've been thinking about doing that. And I think I've really been trying. I've had periods in my life, and I'm sure you have, where like you've been quicker to pick up things than other things. Like, you've said you were going to do something, and then you did it. And then other times in your life where I'm sure you were like, I spent like months kind of talking about how I was going to do a lot of things, and I didn't do any of them, or I did like 20% of them.
Right.
Right now, I'm really trying to make that a goal of mine without like overloading my plate a little bit. To do what I'm going to make this review. I'm going to do this project. I'm going to work with this model. All right, we're doing it. How soon are we doing it, and when are we doing it?
Yeah.
Because I think I just lost that part of myself for a little bit. Everyone who's made it, I'm sure, can relate back to a time in their 20s where they struggled, but maybe can reminisce on that time, and also reminisce on their creativity and their flowing juices and their like collaborations with other artists and stuff like that. And I just think that that's a time we're in right now, but that's a time that I lost and that I was going through, because I picked up photography about like 3.5 years ago.
Yep.
And I went through that for like 2 years straight of just like blinders, like I am not gonna be mediocre, I am gonna be the fucking best. And then I just like hit a point where I was like, what am I doing? And I just felt like I had lost a lot of weight. I just felt very spread thin, and I stayed up a lot of nights, and I just was like in an unhealthy relationship, and I was like, what do I even do? You know, what am I doing right now? What the fuck am I doing? And like, how possible is this? You know, I was just having a lot of self-doubt. And I've spent the last, I would say, year and a half, like year and a half, really bouncing ideas from one side of my brain to the other, going, how do you get back to that place? Not exactly back to that place, but how do you get that, like, we got this, we're killing it, 100, we're going, we're going to
get this.
Yeah, we're going to get this, and there ain't nothing going to stop us, you know?
Yeah,
and
that's a good place to be, man.
It's a great place to be, and I've seen so many moments in the past 6 months that I've felt that way again. And I've seen a lot of, you know, like you said, your mind, you know, I've seen a lot of my mind walking to the meetup that we met at, going, this is going to be stupid, they're going to think you're dumb, and it's going to be bad. And recognizing in my brain, oh, it's so funny that your brain thinks that. They're going to fucking love you, dude. Like, chill.
Yeah,
you know?
no, and that's, dude, honestly, that's, thanks for sharing that, man. It really is, like, it's, a lot has to do, I think the hang-ups that a lot of us have is just, like, the self-doubt about certain things. And that's why I just mentioned, like, getting your mind right about all this stuff is, like, so important, because it's just, you know, if you can get in that right mental state, then there's a lot that's possible. Like I said, like, you can, but it matters what you're thinking about and what your thoughts are internally. That matters so much. And when you're talking about, like, you know, partying and all that stuff, like, I experienced that too in college. Like, I'm sure many people in college, that's, like, you know, the thing to do. It's kind of part of our culture in the U.S., I think, where it's like, oh, you're in college, you're supposed to be partying, you're supposed to be broke, all this stuff. And it's
I'll interrupt you and say that there's a really funny Jim Jeffries skit where he's talking about the model that he was married to at the time, or had a kid with, and she said, well, you partied, like, because she was a model and she went to all these crazy parties, and he's like, partied? He's like, let me tell you what comedians partying is. It's like 8 comedians sitting around, like, a half a gram of cocaine, and, like, at 5 a.m. waiting for the nurses to get off their shift. You know, it was a different kind of, like, I didn't go to the bars, really. You know, it was more like a bottle of whiskey and Photoshop at my desk, just going and constantly, and shooting, and, hey, let's have a drink there. Okay, getting up in the morning. All right, let's do this with booze or drugs or this, and let's go. So it was partying and all fun and games at first, but then it just became something that made more sense, so that I could be, like, chilling through the day and, like, really getting at it and not thinking about all the things I have to get done, and really more thinking about and just doing them. So instead of being, like, all wrapped up and being like, I don't know, it was just more like, all right, let's kill it.
Yeah.
You know? So a different kind of, but I 100% agree. The party life in college is, like, it's a rite of passage. It's growing up, you know, it's part of being an adult. It's going and having blackout nights at college and just being like, what happened, dude? That's crazy.
And it's like, and it's sometimes, like, glamorized, but when you get a little bit older, at least for me, what you realize is, like, you don't need any of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I still enjoy, like, having some, like, craft beers.
Sure.
You know, having a couple of drinks, whatever. But you quickly realize, at least for me, that it's just like a crutch for most people. You know what I mean? It's like a way that they don't have to deal with real life. Like, oh, I'm nervous about this thing. Let me get like fucked up so I'm not nervous anymore. And it's like, no, like that's not the way.
It's all awkward until you're tipsy and good to go.
Yeah. It's just like and that's the thing. A lot of people that are just out of college, especially after they went through all those years of partying, picked up some bad habits, picked up probably drinking habits, other things. And then all of a sudden they're in the quote unquote real worlds, right?
They're slammed.
And they can't even have a conversation with someone. They can't even approach someone, they can't approach someone of the opposite sex without being fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's a harsh reality.
You need to learn how to talk to people and engage with people and connect with people without the aid of drugs or like alcohol or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized, and you have to really be aware of that.
Yeah.
And that's because a lot of people, they overlook it or they don't think about it in that way. When they're like, oh yeah, that's just like what we do. We just get drunk. But it's like, why are you doing it? Is it so you feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
Like, are you uncomfortable? Like, you know what I mean? And if you are, then good. And you should almost want that feeling in a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But to ask yourself those questions in your mind,
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
Breaking your boundaries and asking yourself these questions and being awkward and doing something that scares you and reaching for your goals even though they're not guaranteed, and not having a clue where you'll be next month or how much money you're going to make or where you're going to be in a year or if that's going to work out.
Yeah.
But still going like, let's do it. Okay. And being able to go about that in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Somewhat, again, I'm not going to discredit anybody that's like sitting around and like snorting right when they wake up and go like, all right, let's get the date. And they're an amazing painter. Like, you do you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think it's appropriate or important to ask yourself these questions of what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And how can I be the best me I can be, I guess.
Exactly.
I think I saw that in you, and I just was like, you care about yourself, you have respect for yourself, and you want to work towards bettering yourself.
Yeah.
Part of that is getting the things that you want. But how do you get the things that you want? I think it's by trying to be the best you that you can be.
Exactly. And I'm going to continue on this note, but we're going to check. We're new to this podcasting thing, so we're going to check the cameras because I think we have a 30-minute limit on the cameras, and we're approaching that.
We are.
And I want to keep talking, so
let's
I think
talk
we're going to keep it going a little longer, but we're just going to hit a quick pause and we'll be right back.
Cool.
All right, yeah, dude, this is perfect. We're killing it with the convos.
For sure.
All right, so we're back. And what we were talking about before, what Rafael was just talking about was, just wanting to improve yourself. And for me, that's just the biggest thing, like this whole journey of self-improvement. And the reason why it's so important to me is because this is how I see it. And this is what I've learned after this whole journey of doing this. And a lot of this is, I do a lot of meditation. I do it every day. I do writing, journaling, and reading self-help books and other types of books to really grow and learn about myself and about other people's stories. But the point of helping yourself and getting yourself right is because then you can be of better service to other people.
Right.
That's really what I've realized is the main thing. So if your main goal, like, yeah, you have some career goals and all that stuff, but tied in with that is improving yourself, getting your mind right, doing the things that you need to do to help you. And then when you do those things, then you are much, much, much better suited to help other people within that. So for me, doing, photography, video, now doing podcasting is like, I want to share my story and I want to share what I've learned and how I've grown. And a lot of that is like on the mental side of things and getting your mind right, and just share that with other people so that they can then do that themselves, whether they're on the same journey or they haven't really started that journey yet, or they're looking for answers or they have questions. Like, that's really what it's about. So
yeah,
that's how that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you really can't help other people until you've helped yourself. You can't love other people until you love yourself.
Exactly.
You can have love for other people, but it's you're really not giving them the there's this great I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I used to do like a pranayama meditation with him, and he's kind of like a guru of sorts. And he used to talk about the honeymoon stage, and then what's called the sweet love. So that the honeymoon stage doesn't end. Like the honeymoon stage ends, but then it's time for the sweetest love. And that was a pretty cool idea, because I think everyone's like, the honeymoon stage is over, I'm done. Like, wow, like, you know, the glow is gone and the butterflies, and now it's so boring or whatever. But it's just like, if you can, I think that's like programmed in culture. And it really does relate to so many other things, as far as even just having like a relationship between you and I, and just talking about like, I can't give you anything until I know that I'm okay for sure. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Like, we're good. Check. Right on. Hey, what's up, man? How are we going to do today? And whatever. And that really is important. And I definitely think that we have similar goals as far as like trying to help other people. And I think what helps me a lot is when I listen to these podcasts. Dax Shepard has a great one. Shout out Dax. He has a great one that is only like 20 episodes in, but he spent so much time in Hollywood that it's a killer cast that's been coming on each week. And it's fun for me to listen. It's inspiring for me to even just listen to a conversation between Dax Shepard and Seth Rogen and talk about, you know, in the beginning I fucking didn't know anything, like, and this and this, and because of where they are now, it helps me to not lose hope.
For sure.
It's really like just interesting, and I think that's a real big part of like why I want to do this, is documenting when we are in that stage of like, I don't know anything. Like, I know a lot, I think, but I not everything I create.
Know a lot about this, but I know nothing about that.
I watched a friend Jonah, shout out Jonah, showed me a video yesterday by Ira Glass, shout out Ira, that it was talking about how everything you create in the beginning, you have taste, and you're always going to have taste. You know what's good. You know what looks good in video. You know what I'm saying? I know what looks good in photo. I know what looks different. I know what stands out. I know I took many classes. I critiqued many people. I got critiqued the hell out of on a regular basis, hours and hours and hours a week in class. And just overall, I mean, constant critique and rejection and all this different stuff. And you're always having taste. So every time you see something of your own work, you're like, could be better, but good. Let's push it out, you know? But you're always keeping that taste in your mind of like, it could be better. Oh, if we had this. Oh, if we had this, it could be better. But you're holding on to that. And a lot of people kind of give up. Because it's just not getting to where they want it to be, and things aren't just like getting to where they want it to be, but just knowing that this journey is a struggle and it takes a lot of risk, and it's hard to work on yourself. And I think that's what I enjoy most about working on myself. I don't want to run every day. I run every day. I don't want to meditate, you know, for a couple hours a week. I do it, you know. I don't want to not eat sugar products or high sugar products. I love to pig out on Krispy Kremes, you know what I'm saying? But like, I choose not to, because at first it sucks having celery and peanut butter for a light snack, but after a while it actually tastes fucking awesome, and it's great, and you feel better, and you just feel more clear, and you're like doing things better. So it sucks because you're like, I have no time to go on this run. I just don't. I'm stacked with stuff. If you just put that time in, then your time is going to be like halved editing. It's just going to be in half because your brain is working at such a healthy level that you're just going to be able to perform better. You know?
For sure.
It sucks to get 8 hours of sleep a night, and I don't always get it. But like, I try my best to get it because I know that it's important, because I know I'm going to be able to perform better and not feel like garbage the next day.
Exactly.
You know?
And having that foresight to know that, or to know within your body when you need to get rest or when you need to get the right nutrients or exercise.
Because I didn't for years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't for years.
Yeah, and those things can be easy to neglect, and then sometimes it's glamorized. All these people that don't sleep, they're just working all the time, but it's like, yo, that affects your health. Your work it's actually proven in studies. I don't know exactly what the studies are, but I've heard it multiple times, and I believe it, where if your cognitive ability is diminished greatly by not getting enough sleep, for example.
So you think you're working better and harder because you're saving time that you would be sleeping doing work, but in actuality, your work is a lot worse and poorer.
Your brain isn't performing as well.
It's not.
And you're not going to be, and that's a problem. People can get depressed and unhappy when they're not sleeping enough. They're not doing the right things. And that's the thing. It's like, that's when the hardest one for me is like the eating healthy stuff. I don't eat super unhealthy, but like, I haven't like got to that extra level of just like really getting the right nutrients and like avoiding like, I don't usually do like the sugar stuff. That's probably the worst part, is like the sugar stuff that turns into fat and just like super unhealthy and it's addicting.
Yeah.
But like, like just eating more vegetables and like really being disciplined about like not, if there's pizza, like I usually go for it. It's a balance.
Man, pizza. So
I love pizza.
It's
the
best.
And I'm not going to stop eating pizza because I'm living my life. But
exactly.
But at the same time, just making the right choices. But again, it's engaging with these things that are uncomfortable or they're hard, right?
Yeah.
Like going on a freaking run when you don't want to.
Yeah.
Or like you said, meditating or doing these things. But it's like doing those things and having the discipline to actually sit down and take action or, go out and do these things. And that includes meeting people and networking and all that stuff related to
putting yourself in awkward positions.
Yeah, that will have benefits, like probably 10x the amount of benefit that you even foresee it happening or foresee it providing to you.
All it takes is one foot in front of the other. And
that's
just
it.
Like, I'm here.
And it's like, and that's what I realized, hold on, what time is it? Okay, so we'll do a couple more minutes.
Cool.
A couple more minutes, guys. But anyway, so that's one thing that I realized too from like traveling and stuff. So I wanted to ask you about that. Good, like another question before we wrap it up. But
cool.
For me, I'll share my piece about it, and then I'm gonna like turn it over to you. But
sure,
with traveling for me, it was like Rafael just mentioned, and like we've been talking about, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations purposely, in order to grow. Yeah, that is to me, that's like the best thing you could possibly do for yourself. And traveling for me, living in Asia for a year, that was huge. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't go with anybody. I met people through the English teaching program that I went with, but I didn't meet them till I was there. I had no idea, didn't know how to speak Korean, didn't know shit. And I was a teacher. I had no training as a teacher. I had nothing. But I was like, you know what? I want to challenge myself. I want to do something totally uncomfortable and just go for it and just see what happens. And I just grew from it. And that's what happens when you put yourself in those situations. I got better at it. I think the biggest skill that you could have, and this is what for me is what traveling has done, is adapting. If you can adapt to new situations and be a problem solver and not get not panic when things go wrong, because things will inevitably go wrong. That's life. Like, you know what I mean? Like the other day, for example, I got like 2 parking tickets. Like they're like $130. Yeah. Total. And like I think a couple of years ago I would have got all bummed out. Yeah. And I was actually pumped that, not because I got the tickets, I don't want to pay it, but I was pumped at my reaction where I was so much quicker.
Like, fuck you.
I was so much I was so much quicker to be like, wow, like this isn't that big of a deal. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I wish I didn't do it, but I'm just going to learn from this. And everything's good. Like I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? And that was a situation where I think that through traveling and through all this stuff that I've been doing with helping myself and all that, I've realized, wow, like I've come a long way in like my mentality towards things, because there could be 10 people on that situation with those tickets, and like there'll be 10 different reactions. And I can picture one of which would be like someone getting all freaked out, swearing and just getting all pissed and ruin their whole next few days. Yeah. But like, it's only what you make out of in your head. Like it's, you know what I mean? it's really, that's what it comes down to. So yeah, for you, what have you learned traveling or placing yourself in those kind of situations?
Yeah, I will say that I can agree. I've had a few situations over the last few months of really working on myself where things have happened, life-changing events where, or just something minimal like forgetting a battery and being out in the wild and being like, I'm carrying 20 pounds of gear that I'm not going to be using for the week because I forgot my battery.
Yeah.
And just being like, okay.
Yeah.
And just being like, okay. And just being like, wow, I would have just give me that fucking bottle and give me a pack of cigarettes because I'm so pissed right now.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to be like, all right, well, this such is life.
Yeah.
Traveling, man, like I was homeless in Alaska for like 6 weeks between jobs.
Wow.
And that was just one of a few situations where I felt very like, wow. Everywhere I've gone was the same situation. I didn't know anyone before I went there. Many cases I'd never been to that place before. Going to an island off the coast of LA, I'd never heard of it before. Went to go be a zip line guide, so I'm zipping like 130 times a week above a canyon that's like 500-foot drop, and just that's my job for like 6 months. I'm just bringing people
That's wild, bro.
responsible for 30 people's lives every single day, and they're trusting me with their lives, and I'm having to save kids that don't grab the rope. I have to go out there and go, hey, are you okay? We're gonna pull you back in, buddy, and just hang a dangle above a canyon and everything like that. And all the gear is safe and whatnot, but things like that, just putting myself and really going out there and being like, this is, if I'm and just going, like in Israel, I went on birthright for 5 weeks, and I mean, you're miles away from Gaza Strip, and bombs go off. They have bomb shelters on every corner. It's like these situations that really help. I mean, you just grow. You just realize that the world is a lot bigger, and that there's just like a lot to learn about a lot of different cultures, and there's so many different ways to do things and so many ways to go about it, and really helps open up your mind to other possibilities or other places to live. There's so many places that I've traveled to that I'm like, I would live here again, or I would love to like come back for like 6 months, or I only spent 3 weeks here, but man, I would live here for like 6 months, and travel has just opened up so much growth and so much street knowledge and so much lowering my naivete about like just life in general, and just being like, oh, it's like this, or my problems are important, or this and this, I don't know, they are, but, and everyone's unique to their own self and body and mind, but like it's so important. Traveling has just been the best thing for me,
man.
As much as I can, whenever I can, even if it's out of Massachusetts, just to do that.
Man, and it's something I relearn and learn again every time. I have to remind myself of the benefit of it, because sometimes it can be, you can do it on a budget for sure, and I've done that.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes you can get. It can hold you back, like, oh, I don't want to spend money on traveling right now. I want to save, and honestly, sometimes that is good to do that. You have to know when
that's appropriate.
when that's the thing to do. But every single time, and I've had like some doubt about doing the trip or something, I've learned something every time.
It's been so worth it.
It's always been worth it every time, and that's why it just it keeps me coming back, and it keeps me wanting to continue to grow. And then one of the main things it's taught me, one was adapting, like I said, but other thing it's taught me is how to connect with people and how to talk with people from different places, and to realize that, we're all so similar. You know what I mean? We're all human beings. We're different backgrounds, different races, different places, but we're all the same in a lot of ways. And there's a lot to learn from everyone.
And you're going to talk to that guy on the street corner in, India, and you're just going to like talk to him for a little while, and you're just going to share some story in like broken English, and you're just going to be like, cool. Yeah.
And it's just like another thing that you can, learn from, or a story that you can tell to other people.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. And that's really one thing that's why I like to share my journeys and what I do, because it just, hopefully it opens up people's eyes to what else is out there. And like you said, there's more possibilities. And when I first started traveling, I was just so stoked on it, and to realize that there's so many ways that you can live. There's so many like different career opportunities. There's an endless amount of things, and you just basically, you have to create that reality for yourself. You have to create your future. And that's what's possible if you actually believe in it. And when you don't get exposed to many things, you only know what you know. You only know the place that you're from. And that might not be bad, but in a lot of cases, you're just unaware of what else is possible and what else is out there and how people actually are. You know what I mean? You hear like a lot of older people are kind of stuck in the, trap of watching the news all the time and seeing all these negative stories, and they're fearful of other people.
Yeah, step outside.
And they're fearful of going places or challenging themselves, right? And like that's the thing that holds a lot of people back is fear. And like engaging with fear and kind of stepping into the shadows of not knowing what's going to happen, like you mentioned before, that's how you really grow. And that's like living life. Like that's actually fucking living to me. Like that's,
no, I agree.
And it's just like engaging with fear and like, and wanting to go for it anyway. So yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me with traveling and just pursuing this career of videography and photography and, turning into a business and all that. So yeah.
Matt, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
Cool, man. It was great doing this with you. First time. And I think it went well.
Yeah. First podcast. I think we killed it.
Yeah. We're not gurus. We're out here talking about our life experiences, but we don't know everything, and nor do we claim to know everything.
Yep.
We're not also sitting here as you watch so many people on the internet talk about so many different things. Phone's fucking blowing up, Jesus Christ. As you sit here and talk about all your experiences, and I sit here and talk about all my experiences over the podcasts and stuff like that.
Yep.
I hope that younger people my age, older people, don't do what we fall into these habits of, man, that's so nice that they do that, and just continue to do exactly what we're telling or hoping that people don't do, which is to sit around and get high off of our experiences instead, but go, yeah, I'm going to listen to this while going on a hike. I'm going to listen to this while going out there and meeting some friends on the way to meet some friends and do something for the day and work my creative part of my mind, I definitely want to preach that message so that, it's easy to fall into that and just be like, man, what they're doing is really cool. I can't do that, and just continue to,
Yeah, no, and that's
exactly what we're not trying to do.
We're trying to wrap it up here, but I just want to expand upon that for a second.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the problem with a lot of the stuff, the content that's out there today. There's so much inspiring, great stuff, and people are sharing their stories and people are sharing their advice, and it's fucking dope.
Yep.
Like guys like Gary Vee, who's like huge, and people like that, right? You can get all this inspiration, but as you said, there are many people who cling to those things for that inspiration, for that juice.
Yeah.
And
I'm a victim of it myself.
And then,
I sit back and go,
man,
that'd be dope.
And then just keep watching that stuff, but never actually take those lessons and bring it into action. And that's what it's for.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
These guys were like, yo, stop watching my shit right now.
Yeah.
Turn it off and go, take that inspiration that you got from watching this or listening to this, and then go do shit and learn your own.
Yeah.
Learn on your own and just go out there and go into the unknown and just do it.
100%.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about.
100%.
And we all need inspiration. Daily inspiration is, I think, something that I enjoy, but you have to know and have the awareness and be like, okay, I got what I needed from this, and now I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm going to take action and, actually make something out of my day, out of my life,
Awesome, man. Well, let's
Share
wrap it up
socials.
on that. Yep. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Boundaries podcast. We hope you enjoyed. We're always looking for comments, critique, things we could have done better, things we should talk about in future episodes, maybe people to interview. You want to come out to Boston? You want to talk? You want to be on our podcast? You want to share your story? We want to hear it from you. All our information is going to be below. My name is Rafael Avcioglu. I'm a photographer.
Yeah, I'm Matt Collamer. I'm a videographer and photographer, and as Rafael said, We appreciate you guys tuning in. This is something that we're really excited about. We were just chatting how we're just really stoked to be doing this. And we look up to a lot of people who do podcasts and help people in that way. So it's exciting, and it almost feels surreal that we're doing it ourselves, but I'm really stoked on it. And yeah, as he said, you know, any critiques, comments, we'd love to hear them. If you have any suggestions about what we should do, who we should interview, and how we should go about the podcast, please let us know. You're the viewer, so you guys, your opinion matters as much as ours, if not more. So yeah, links will be down below, our Instagrams, YouTube channel, website, all that good stuff. So yeah, guys, appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Much love. Peace.